I moved it some.
I can see my crotch.
I didn't move it enough.
There we go. Crotch free, Chris.
Crotch free.
All right.
Because, you know, I like to scratch myself during these, but I also don't like that. See, people are still going to be able to, well, maybe not.
Well, they're not going to
see. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could.
Actually, yes. Hey, guys. How's it going? Welcome to the Texas Toast live stream. And first, I don't know if you remember, Chris, but we should probably apologize for the technical difficulties we had last week.
Yes.
I spaced it out until today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't space it out entirely, but I did remember that happened. And it was weird because it just went like boom.
My computer went off, everything. A lot of this is what normally happens is people say you should pay for more internet. We pay so much money for internet every month just to do these. I don't know, like if throwing more money at it would change anything.
Yeah.
And like they came and like ran all new everything for us. So I get
someday better internet will be available for us here, but that day is not yet here.
Yeah.
Yeah. In some ways, we're lucky we have internet at all.
In many ways, yeah.
In this particular location, that's not like satellite and $8 million.
Yeah.
So you see this glass?
Yeah. Yeah.
It says, "What would Dan do?" And it's a picture of Dan Erlewine.
I know. I got that free for Dan Erlewine's birthday.
Oh. When
I ordered some stuff from Stu Mac. Yeah.
So I had forgotten that was a glass. So.
So. By the way, if anybody is interested in having shop space near Texas Toast Guitars, one of the things in our I don't know, what would you call this? Building, I guess.
Yeah.
Is available. It's industrial. We could take over this whole corner of Westminster, Colorado, if you want.
We could, yeah. There'd only be a few more people to get rid of before it was a domination.
Yeah.
Of us and friends.
Yep. Hey, thank you to Sir David Dangerous, who says ad free. Brian made me do it again. Thank you so much, Dave. And thank you.
We're going to see Brian tomorrow, I believe.
Well, if he's feeling better, right?
If he's feeling better, yeah.
I hope so.
Me too, because we need a lot of help cleaning.
That's we do. Dave, thank you for the super chat. You know, guys, all of our live streams are ad free. And the reason that we do that is because I suspect that people just listen to this in the background. Or, you know, or if you like me, when you're driving, you listen to these things, whether you do it live or the later one. And it's a bummer to have to be like, oh, geez, I'm already on the treadmill. Do I have to go through a bunch of dumb ads for, whatever you get ads for? So all of the super chats really help us do this, these live shows. And again, I want to apologize for last week. We just kind of fell off the air. I still don't know why. I'm chalking it up to just technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, Tazzy Tim. I had no idea Tazzy Tim had a guitar company.
Yeah.
Called 20 Cent Guitar Company or 20 Cent Guitar TC Trading, something like that. You have to go back and look. It's not TC Trading. He says he's trading as TC Guitars. And I had no idea. I just thought, I didn't know. So first of all, Tazzy Tim, you should have told us that a long time ago so we could let people know. Second of all, I need to go check it out. I had no idea. I have to go see his Facebook page or Instagram or whatever it is. He says he's built 30 guitars, and
since he's in Australia, virtually no competition between us. So he should advertise for us, tell everybody how great we are, and we should tell everybody how great he is.
Yeah, why wouldn't we, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go over to check out 20 Cent Guitars in Tasmania. He's a Tasmanian.
Oh, is that where he's a Tasmaniac?
Yes, he is. I don't know. I made
is that where the Taz comes from in the Tazzy Tim?
Yeah. And so go over and check out his
Tassel Tim.
No, it's Tazzy.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's and a different person.
Speaking of guys who build guitars, Mike Learn is here. Hi, Mike. How are you, sir? I haven't talked to you in forever.
I talked to Mike last week. I had a paint
question,
and I know it was paint and bicycles, and I know he loves.
Mike likes all those things. Yeah.
So we talked for a red hot minute.
So okay, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna look. There's a lot of people hanging out with us tonight. Eric Luddinger, Dan Andreas, Lefty, Sir David Dangerous, Doc is here, Joy is here. Hi, Joy. You know what happens tomorrow? I mean, but you know what happens?
Yeah.
It's Joy's birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday tomorrow for Joy. Zed is here, Greg is here, NSJ Guitars, aka Scottman is here, Robbie F is here, Terry is here. Okay, so Jay is here. Hi, Jay. Butch is here. Brad Guitar Miller is here. Vinny's World is here. Michael Beckloff is here. Mike Beckloff. You know what? You know anyone nicer than Mike Beckloff?
No.
You'll never meet anybody. There's people as nice, but no one's nicer than Mike Beckloff, right? I mean, that guy's a cool dude. Edward Butler is here. Did I say Doc is here? Because Doc is here. If I'm missing your name, I'm just scrolling through because I want to get down to the meat and potatoes of the thing here. Dale Gribble was here. Razzy's Place is here and put a bunch of stuff up there about like his guitar building. I think I saw Dylan is here. Hi, Dylan. So yeah, let's jump into the deal here. And let's kind of get going. Chris, I woke up this morning to an email from our good buddy, Dylan McCurchie.
Okay.
Dylan Talks Tone.
Okay.
And I get up early. So for me to wake up to a text from Dylan was, he was up early thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm going to paraphrase here. Why don't we do a video about like, what's the difference between a guy who makes a guitar and a guitar builder?
Mm-hmm.
You might think that it's the same thing, but I would submit to you that it's not entirely the same thing.
No.
And I also want to apologize to Eddie Van Halen. Joy is listening to Alex Van Halen's biography about his brother, biopic piece about his brother. I think it's called Brothers. So it's kind of been on my mind. And, Eddie Van Halen was a guitar tinkerer,
assembler
at the very least, a tone chaser. I don't know if I would consider Eddie Van Halen to be a guitar builder, but we're gonna talk about all that stuff. So I put that up because I saw it, and I'm like that should raise a few ires. And but before we go any further, let's take a super chat from Tazzy Tim. You want to do the accent?
Yes.
Okay. Can you read it?
G'day, guys. Thanks for the plug. Will Matt's sweet truss rod jig work on next with scarf joints?
I don't see why not. You might need to come up with a way to hold it, like elevate it so that the scarf or the angle headstock doesn't, bend or flex on the
you'd have to
the table.
You'd have to probably. Yeah.
So, but it absolutely would work. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about Matt's sweet truss rod jig.
That was the worst Australian I've ever done.
Oh, no, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought you did a good job,
sounded
Chris.
a little like Jacko.
You got big beers.
Got big beers here.
Thank you very much, too, Tim, for the super chat. How do you want to go about marketing Matt's sweet truss rod jig? A lot of people have expressed interest in it.
Yeah,
I don't know what that's going to mean.
I think we should just make some and sell some. The idea of reconfiguring that jig to do other stuff is fraught with peril. For one thing, our machine that makes that, I cannot do a base truss rod jig on that, but you could just extend it on your own.
Yeah.
Mount it once, do that, move it back, do the extra that you need.
We could put some pins in there to make it easy or something.
Yeah.
That would definitely be cool
to do that. So, and I don't really want to go into the business of making.
No.
So we made this truss rod jig for ourselves because we needed a way to do it. Our other ways didn't work with the neck throughs. And
that's right.
We made it and went, oh, this is pretty neat. It's actually really easy to use. Other people might like this too. Yeah. So that's where that came from. But I don't want to do spoke wheels and
I don't have
stuff. For one thing, I don't think the time that it would take me to do it would be worthwhile in the end for the few that we would sell.
Can we make them out of something a little nicer than 1/2 inch MDF, do you think? Or, I mean, it works, but
yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Joey
it works
Dano
good.
guitars. Hang on. Joey Dano says ad free is for me. Brian made me do it. Hey, Doug, do you see over my right shoulder what is up there? I think there could be a really cool reveal tomorrow for one Doug Santaniello.
Yep.
That thing's rich. It's cool as can be. Okay. Well, so what? I mean, I'm like, what do you think about like birch plywood or something like that? That's just maybe a little nicer, and
Yeah, maybe
we put some of that oil on it to make it nice. You know?
Oh yeah, we could do like somebody we know does with his stuff. Yeah, I'd be down with that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to make them out of acrylic.
No. And then you could scroll it in
the whole mess.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be. I might actually put a few more
words.
Yeah, more words in it.
Okay.
The whole Matt's Sweet Truss Rod jig. That was just a thing that I did. That happened because I used to name stuff, and then I did a template for Ben Duncan, who had a mishap with something on one of his guitars that he built here.
Okay.
And I think I called it Ben's unfucked jig or something like that, and handed it to him. And I thought that was pretty funny. So then I started naming all the templates and jigs, and I save them that way too in the files. Like so that thing is Matt's Sweet Truss Rod jig, because Truss Rod jig number 174, -2.
I got to tell you,
can't put dashes in it. It'd have to be 0.2.
We have tools that make truss rod slots perfectly every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, that's my favorite one to use.
Your favorite one, yeah. For one, you don't have to ask me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For two,
it's faster than doing it on the pin router. It's faster. Like everything about it is like, oh yeah, this is how we should have been doing this all along.
The only thing you got to pay attention to is your maximum depth. Have a way to get that right.
Yeah.
Which you figured out.
And I'm sure that other people have like fancy dials or whatever on their router, and they probably can like dial exactly.
Yeah, but it works good.
Mm-hmm.
And and truss rods aren't always the easiest thing to do. The neat thing about this is you can put it on virtually any time during the neck building process, and we've done it with neck throughs, set necks, and bolt-on necks.
I have done it,
and you can also use it backwards and figure out a way to do it on a heel adjust if you wanted.
If you really, really wanted to, you could. Yeah, I think I've done it 25 or 30 times since we got it. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a dozen in there. I've done it a bunch, and
you've used it enough. It's the jig is starting to actually get a little wallowed.
The MDF is yeah. I think if we had a more,
which I think is why you want to make them out of 12 ply.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Or whatever
the
half inch is. Yeah. 7.5 ply.
9, I think.
9, 8.
So anyway, let's talk about what the differences are between a guitar maker and some guy who makes a guitar.
Okay.
And this is probably true in,
I was thinking of other fields and other things and even other interests.
It's probably the same deal. Like Chris Hill is a craft beer maker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could go to the store and get one of those kits and make some beer.
Well, and I've known people, I brew beer.
Yeah.
And then you find out they brewed some beer and it was pretty awful. Or it was really good one time and really bad the next time. Yeah. And they're still pretty much unsure of how to do it.
Yeah.
For me, the thing that I thought of was Dylan, because he's the one that brought up this idea.
Yeah.
I have now successfully on my own built 12 or 13 pickups. I'm not a pickup maker.
You made 12 or 13
pickups. I've made pickups. They all work. They all sound good. But I'm still not really sure of every single step, every single time. All the pickups I made are fairly similar. It's going to take a lot more work, even though they all turned out great.
Mhm.
even though I, had to text Dylan twice. They all turned out great. But it doesn't mean that I'm a pickup maker. It just means that I've made some pickups.
Yeah. Tonehouse Guitars is in the house. Hello, how are you? NSJ Guitar says, I use the router with a fence while the neck is still blank. I don't have a sweet truss project. Well, we should fix that.
Yeah.
Dan Andrada sent a super chat. I wonder if that's a tariffed super chat. It's from Canada. Ad free is for me, some guy who just built a guitar or two. God bless you, Dan. Jay Valenti sent us a super chat and says, if you make it, Matt and Chris, I'd buy it. Jay is Jay and Gary right up there with Mike Beckloff, some of the coolest, nicest guys. Okay, I don't want to go into the whole. I don't want to make a big. Doug and Doc and Dave and Jay and Gary and Mike Beckloff and Adam and it's some of the things are escaping me right now. But you guys who come and hang out with us, some of the nicest people I've ever met are come here to the shop and build guitars with us, don't you think?
Yep, so. For sure.
Butch Landry, who's right here and says, comes down to if you make a living at it or not.
Yeah, I think that's something else. And even less than that, because that sounds kind of, at least in my mind, that sounds potentially sort of asshole-ish, that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I make a living at it. But I think if other people want your thing, then you could say, oh, I'm a whatever, or like I'm an okay auto mechanic. Doesn't mean I'm an auto mechanic. I can fix cars.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'd want to fix somebody else's. Doesn't mean that I would trust myself to fix somebody else's, especially not for money.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people. And the other thing that I was thinking about was musicianship.
Mm-hmm.
And I know lots of people that say, well, I'm a professional musician, but they don't actually make their living at it.
They've gotten paid.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you're a professional.
Yeah.
But you can still be that's a bad example.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I want to touch on that right after we talk about Doc's super chat. And he says the Truss Rod Jigs looks awesome. Take my money. So you touched on something. You're like the whole I'm a professional. I've been doing. Anytime that people qualify what they do with how long they've been doing it,
mm-hmm.
and I'm cool, and you start to kind of sound a little bit maybe arrogant at the very best. And it reminds me of, remember when LeBron James was like, well, a bunch of people might hate me and might want me to not succeed, but tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and I'm still going to be LeBron James. I'm going to be a bazillionaire, NBA player, and you guys are still going to be, you. And that's not what we're trying to do here.
No,
I don't really know what the angle on this is. I just think it's a fun topic.
Yeah.
So
I think as soon as you become comfortable with virtually all aspects of whatever it is you've chosen to call yourself, guitar builder, pickup winder, bike mechanic, whatever, then you can maybe call yourself that. But doing it once or twice and having to look at the book the whole way through, or call Dylan or watch a YouTube video, mm-hmm. doesn't mean that, are you a guitar builder? Sure, you build a guitar. I
think that, and you guys can probably relate to this. So like Solaris Moon and Doc and NSJ Guitar. A lot of you guys who are guitar builders probably feel the same way. I differentiate it between I can't do anything else. What I mean is, I like when I get up, I'm excited to do this.
Yeah. That whole, how do you define yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not doing this. I could imagine doing this in a bigger way or a smaller way, but I can't imagine not doing this. This isn't just what I do, it's who I am. And I think that there are people who are kind of tourists in that this world, and that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if you say, well, I really like the food in Chicago, I go to Chicago as much as I can. That doesn't make me Chicagoan, that means I'm a tourist in Chicago and I love going there. I love hanging out and I have a great time. And it's wonderful. But it doesn't make me, I could even be a Chicago expert one day. I don't know. But the fact is that, like, I don't wake up in the morning and go, man, I love that I, live in Chicago, because I don't. I don't live in Chicago. And I don't think I could. I think I could visit a lot and enjoy the city and the food and the going to games or something, or going to a concert. But I don't think I could do. I don't think I could do it 365 days a year. Building guitars is something that I can't not do. Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
Something just passed through my head. That whole idea. Going to a barber that identifies as a barber, or that identifies as somebody that can cut hair, but really can't.
Or like you cut hair, but you don't do a shave or something, right? Like,
or no, just the whole idea of that I wouldn't want to go to somebody who claims to be a hairstylist or good at haircuts and hasn't had the put in the time to do it. I don't know why I was thinking this. I knew one of those. It was my mom. Cut my hair.
She have a bowl.
Looked like an orphan for a lot of years.
Michael Beckloff says, take Doc's money. God bless you, Mike. Tazzy Tim says, finishes are my energy. Matt is a magician. I am not. Okay, now I can spray finish, but I generally don't. Chris does that. Okay. And Chris is very, very good at it. Let's go to the comment section. And Jay says, like moths to a flame, you guys are cool. So cool, guys want to come hang out with you. Jay, that means a lot to me. Thank you very much, sir.
That's our qualifier.
Matthew Dennis says, great points, actually. I hope that you're talking about either something I said or Chris said. I'm sure that, but I'd imagine there's a bunch of comments in the comment section.
Yeah, maybe.
NSJ Guitars says, I'm hooked on building guitars. Stringwood Guitars says, as far as the title goes, yeah, I was a maker, but it became too much like a job and it wasn't fun anymore. So now I do it for myself and every once in a while for profit. Does that make sense? Absolutely, it does. Now it's tax time.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I think about, like, oh my goodness, how much money did we spend just to have this building every year, just to have a place to drive to? Chris, I think better than almost anyone, and at least as well as anybody.
I think I know as well as some people
that I stress out. I'm constantly stressed out.
I know better than everybody.
You might know as well as one other person, but Joy knows a lot too. But it's a very stressful thing for me. But you're right. You do have a lot of understanding about the stresses involved and not that you guys don't, but when you start to add up all the money that it costs that you don't get back, and the building isn't yours, you don't have to do that
in the wind. Yeah. Well, there's other ways around that stuff, but none of those are feasible for us. And it's a lot. But it also affords you some opportunities that you wouldn't have any other way.
It's, I guess, just one of the costs of doing business.
That people should use that.
People should. What do you? How do you mean?
I guess it's just a cost of doing business.
Doc says he can't wait for the day when he can just wake up and only build guitars. Doc, I think you're on your way, sir. Hey, Richard Ryan is here. Richard, how are you, sir? Richard says that although I miss seeing you at work where you were an essential worker, I'm glad you found your calling. Richard, I was thinking, thank you very much, my friend. I was thinking about you the other day when the NOAA people were out protesting Richard Ryan and I used to have this thing where we would say, if this 100,000 square foot building, this was Noah in Boulder, turns into a mud pit, half a dozen people would realize it.
Mhm.
And everybody else would just kind of, no one would notice. Who you getting a call from?
Unknown caller. That's funny because it was an unknown caller, and it's my friend Craig Swadek.
That's funny.
It was weird.
Amanda's here. Hi, Amanda. Tonehouse Guitars says, it takes time to get good at anything. I'm just having fun along the way. I'm just building for myself, but you two are great guitar builders. I'm learning from watching you. Thank you so much, Tonehouse Guitars.
I think there's a lot of how somebody approaches what they do tells a lot about that person. And there's a rush for people to be a master whatever.
Yeah.
So much so that people will call themselves things that they're not. Yeah. Oh, I'm a guitar builder.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, so what have you done? Well, I put together a couple kits. Well, okay. Or whatever. But they'd rather have the name than the actual skill for all of that stuff.
Well, and it's free to do that. It's free to make a Facebook page and hey, we're Matt's Guitar Shop or whatever. And well, where's your shop? Well, it's in my basement. And that's cool, but you don't have to take out a Yellow Pages ad. You don't have to.
Right. Yeah. I haven't actually built anything. I have stickers.
I got stickers and t-shirts and a Facebook.
Yeah. I have a hat. Yeah, Facebook page.
That's the big one.
A sticker my mom made. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being enthusiastic about something, but not being overly good at it yet, or not being as confident or competent as you will eventually become if you continue doing it. My favorite word is luthier when it comes to people that work at I'm just going to say a Guitar Center. They're not luthiers. They're guitar setup guys.
Yeah.
They're not luthiers. I don't even think I'm a luthier.
I don't think I am.
I'm a pretty good guitar builder.
Although I have a certificate that says I am.
Yeah. And I guess, I think there's a lot more stuff that goes into being a luthier.
I think so too.
Than what I do. So.
I think that luthier, master builder, blah blah blah. If you give that title to yourself,
that's ultimately the point that I was trying to make. Yeah, that I was doing such a bad job of making. I am not a master thespian. Or maybe I am.
Maybe.
Yeah. If you give you that title to yourself without having stuff to actually back it up.
I am still very humbled by the number of people who have told me that they watch the videos or they they really want to come to a class or something like that. And it's a cool thing to think that we've, had some impact on the community of guitar making. I don't know what that is exactly, but there are people who I didn't know who said some stuff to me. It was very, very cool.
Yeah,
very nice, very nice, kind thing. So, yeah. Let's see. Lefty O says, got to spend money to make money. You know what else you have to do? You got to have money to spend money to make money.
That's the kicker on all of this. And sometimes if you have money, you don't have to spend some money to make money. There are other ways around it.
Dan says, once I am without current responsibilities, I'm going to find a guitar maker and make some kind of deal to go help daily. Dan, I think that's a terrific idea, man. I think that would be really cool. So Laris Moon says, I'm playing one of the guitars I made as I watched this video. And it's an exact copy of Eddie Van Halen Music Man thing. That's cool. Let's get back a little bit to the Eddie Van Halen thing, but let's say also I want to read King Electric Guitars, which I am not familiar with your handle, my friend. He says, I am yet to be a full-time builder and I'm not the most seasoned, but I'm getting better with each guitar. I'll never be satisfied with my skills. You guys have been a big impact on my journey. Thank you. Well, thank you that's a very kind thing to say. That is a lovely thing to say. Thank you very much. Amanda says you make it accessible and don't put yourself above anyone. Gives people confidence to do it. It's enjoyable. Thank you, Amanda. You know, Amanda is what, Ben's sister, cousin, something like that, niece. I forget.
Sister.
Okay.
From what I understand.
Okay.
Through internet rumor, that's the way it came down.
Oh, she says sister. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had beers with Ben at the NAMM show. Yeah, not with Amanda.
No.
So, Stringwood Guitar says, I'm a master guitar maker. LOL, the day I know everything is the day I'll quit.
Well, and I think that's true too. Yeah, I don't claim to know everything. Still learning, but you know, fairly competent.
Oh, Randy King is King Electric Guitars. Okay, I just didn't recognize the new handle. So,
okay, cool.
Doc says, I spent a few hours talking to the guys at the Gibson Garage in London. They probably pronounced it garage. Both the guys working the made to measure area. Watch your. Oh, really? That's cool.
What did he say?
Doc says that both the guys in the made to measure area, which I don't know what that is, at the Gibson Garage, said that they watch our videos. That's cool.
Oh, there you go.
I suspected that people at the Fender Custom Shop watched us. We got confirmation of that, and then you know what that means? That means exactly nothing. But it was cool to find that out.
There was somebody was they were talking about just having like Dylan's videos on all the time, just as like background inspiration, like stuff, which you know, that counts too.
Maybe you should turn your phone off.
You know, I'm usually not. It actually makes me feel kind of good. I know what he's wanting to know, but yeah, I don't get hit up that often.
M2M, which is the made to measure. Greg, who is also a very cool dude and has the knowing of many things about Gibson. Says that's where you spec out a custom Gibson. Oh, okay, for special. It's like the Gibson. Okay. They probably can't call it the Gibson Custom Shop. I would admit. Well, I think that's probably a trademark of the Fender Custom. I don't know. I don't know.
The Gibson R Custom Shop is better.
Yeah.
Custom Shop. I mean, yeah.
That's cool.
Trash talking.
Yeah. Do a little smack talking.
Yeah.
What do you think? So have we? Gosh, what are we missing out on? I want you guys to know something. In a half hour or less, Dylan is going to be wrapping this topic up. I think he's got a lot of ideas he wants to talk about.
Let's see if we can't talk about all of them so that Dylan has absolutely nothing to talk about.
I think he's going to be approaching this with a slightly different.
I think you will too. Yeah.
Take on this.
Yeah.
Mike Beckloff says we're awesome. Dastardly Dave says authentic custom shop. Thank you guys so much.
It authentic, yeah.
Oh, so you know, you and I have been working on a lot of projects lately that are fairly taxing, but they're just kind of working out. You know what I mean? So, like, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm doing a bunch of the advanced work for the SG workshop. We actually had a couple cancellations in the first one. We're still going to build one of the SGs for Nathan, and I think he also wants a Challenger. So we're just kind of shift the money that he, okay. So if anyone's interested in the SG workshop in May, there are some spots open. Sign up for the first one. You won't be able to go to the website and do it. Call me or send me an email if you want to do it. It's going to be a little different than what we have been doing in the past, and maybe even a little different than what I originally wanted to do. Which is you're going to shape your own neck. So like for people who, like Dave has shaped his own neck with us before. He's coming to the first one. There's some other people who've come or who are signed up and they're going to be shaping their own neck. They've done it before. But one of the things that we didn't do a lot of in 2024 was a lot of woodworking. And there's going to be some more woodworking in the neck through workshop than I had originally anticipated. So you will be shaping your own neck in that workshop. You're still making an SG shape. You're not and you're making this SG shape, okay? Not like some other. You're making the classic Gibson style SG shape, mostly because it's going to be a very, very ambitious week of guitar building, and I want to make sure that everybody gets done and walks out with a fully operational instrument. So, but I've been having a lot of fun with the advanced work for that, and man, it's a bunch of work because I'm doing it all the old school way. Our CNC machine is for inlay, and Matt's sweet truss rod jig.
Yeah, it's this big.
Yeah,
that's it.
So everyone who has asked for inlay, whether it's be like blocks or trapezoids or whatever, I think that if you said, here's what I think we should do, Chris, for the SG class, if you signed up for it, unless you say I don't want anything, I think we should just do trapezoids on everything. Or if you say I want blocks or I want dots or I want, whatever. Otherwise, you're getting the standard SG trapezoid in there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, let's see what's going on in the old comment section. The best part of Texas Toast guitars, no fret nibs. I hate having to work on Gibson guitars for that reason. Well, my friend, we do fret nibs all the time. Not every time, but all the time.
No, but yeah. They will occasionally happen.
Curtis says, I missed a bit of the context, and I came into a conversation about shaving our own necks. Awkward.
Right here.
Yeah, you gotta. I haven't.
Yeah.
Done a
Shave your
shaving
neck.
for a while.
I'm just gonna grow a neck beard next winter.
So cool,
warm.
like a big muffler of beard.
That's exactly right.
Doc, my favorite inlay is no inlay too. As a matter of fact, I still think it's really cool, though I'm coming around to blocks. Chris, do you think there's any way you could parlay a conversation about my recalcitrance to do inlay and my ability to grow as a guitar builder?
If I could understand what the word recalcitrance.
I didn't want to do inlay.
I think for a long time you didn't want to do inlay, and if you wanted inlay, tough shit. And then it became, well, okay, we can do some inlay.
I got to tell you, though,
some dots.
I like the way just the wood looks.
Yeah, that's cool. And then one day we slowly started getting into the point where, well, we could have somebody else do the inlay. At least, we wouldn't have to do it. You wouldn't have to do it. And then we got our own CNC machine. And then it was like, that was kind of fun to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And, be able to put beer mugs and
that one time
stupid stuff in.
Yeah.
I don't want to say stupid stuff. The beer mugs were stupid because they weren't, Dave, but do some crazy inlays and crazy stuff and, dancing bears and things like that. And if that's what people want and that's what people like and they're willing to pay for it and you can do it, why not?
Yeah.
You can still have your own preference for it, no inlay. But if you can do it and that's what people want, that's cool. I think you're about at that point. Now, if we're doing spec guitars for our shop, that are going to hang on the wall or that you're going to have to look at, they're probably not going to have inlay unless you want to dress them up. And then they're probably going to have blocks. Speaking of which,
and Randy, I want to talk about your thing about don't make original design shops and stuff like that. Jay, one of those sweet SGs behind me might actually be yours. I'm not 100% sure. One of them probably definitely is. But yes. I'm going to Wildwood Guitars tomorrow.
You are.
And I'm taking the most recent Challenger instrument that that got finished up, and it is a humdinger.
It's a looker.
Have you guys called Casino and Wildwood and asked if they carry Texas Toast guitars yet? If you haven't, please consider doing that.
Ask them that tomorrow.
I'm just going to let it ride. So, okay. So here's the thing. I'm not going in there. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
I'm not going in there to sell them anything.
Right.
I just kind of they're 20 minutes away. If the guys from Casino were right down the road, I'd be foolish to not go there.
Yeah. I think one of the hard parts about going to Wildwood is the idea that you have to have an appointment to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not 100% true, but
and it's not particularly hard to do.
Mostly, well, no, but it's just for one thing, we're not customers. So just walking in or calling to make an appointment is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I mean, they even asked you, well, what serial numbers would you like to take a look at? Well, none. I'm not going to buy a guitar.
Well, I did say I want to talk to Greg because I
Yeah.
met him at Woodwire and Volts. And so at least it was like, okay, well, we had something that we could do. But I'm excited to do that. And I think really what I'm looking forward to doing is like every time we get something new, just like we have a Friday reveal that you guys get to see, Wildwood probably isn't watching our YouTube videos every time we come up with something. And,
Right.
and so, and again, they're 20 minutes away. What if we just ran them over to Wildwood and go, hey guys, what do you think of this one?
Mm-hmm.
You loved the last one. What do you think of this one? Or wow, you really wish the other one was pink. What do you think? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. You guys should take some Odyssey beer over there.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a no-brainer. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Greg is a cool guy. Greg. We met him at the Woodwire and Volt show, and
they have two Gregs.
Yeah.
Not Greg K.
Greg N, I think, is their one of their guitar builder, luthier guys. I'm not sure.
At Wildwood?
Yep.
He's a sales guy, isn't he?
No, there's another guy. There's two Gregs. One of them, I don't. There's a bunch of Gregs.
There's at least two.
Yep.
There's also another famous Greg that's there a lot.
Uh-huh.
That demos guitars.
Oh yeah, that they told me about him too. Lou says Dancing Bears, as far as I know, was something D'Angelico did as a collaboration with the Grateful Dead. I know this because a friend of mine has the guitar. Lou,
you know a guy that has painted 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 guitars for the Grateful Dead.
He might still be here.
D'Angelico.
Yep.
And
although
and I'm always surprised when Mike Learn doesn't call me up and go, "Hey, Chris, you want to help?"
I know.
My answer would be no, but
I think it was 1994. It was the last time the Grateful Dead played at
Folsom.
No, Mile High. No.
Okay.
Yeah, Mile High. Mile High was still open.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was 95. Anyway, and I was working with Bruce Clay at Rarebird, and he built a guitar for a fan. And it was like a Strat shape. I think Bruce called them the Sparrow Hawk or the Strato Hawk or something. And it had Dancing Bear inlay on it too. And they were all done by hand. And we all got to meet Bob Weir. And Bob was really more interested in grapes than like looking at a guitar that, didn't have a modulus graphite neck that he was paid to play or whatever. Anyway, so I met Bob Weir for like a moment. What's the shortest possible amount of time? A moment. That's how long I interacted with Bob Weir. So
it was but a moment.
Yeah. Dan says the next TTG course I want to take, I want to do beaver inlays. Yeah, that's a good one, Dan. We should do that.
Yeah.
Dan, you're a goof.
Put a pin in that, Dan.
You're a goofball, Dan. That's why I love you so much.
And then you can say stuff. Well, why beavers? Well, my mom really likes beavers.
Richard Ryan says the Casino guys mentioned you in a video a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, they're nice guys.
They mentioned us a couple of times.
And
yeah.
I would consider those guys to be buddies of ours.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah.
For some reason, building a rapport with someone takes time.
It does, and yeah, I mean, you don't know where they are; they don't know where we are.
Yeah, and I like those dudes, and they like us, but there's a disconnect. It's like, well, maybe I need to know about them a little bit more. Maybe people need to come in and ask more about them, or maybe Matt and Chris and Jim and everybody needs to fly to North Carolina and hang out with those guys for a while.
Yeah.
But
take like a big bag of mushrooms and like
why would we do
just
that?
get weird with them for like a weekend out in the woods? No.
No.
Okay.
No. I don't know what you guys are gonna. Do you do that?
No.
Okay. I don't know what you do.
Just get tall, man.
I don't know what you do when you're not here. I don't know what you do when you're here.
Like that's obviously the way that you get to know somebody is just doing that, because you were talking about the dead and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Every time I go to a dead show, man, it's like, stadium of my favorite friends that I've never met.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great.
But we can go and hang out with the guys from Wildwood and show them some guitars and take them some beers from our friends who own a brewery. And I'm like, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? And the answer is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But anyway, so if you guys haven't called Wildwood or Casino and asked, do you guys carry Texas Toast guitars? Do so. It would help us out. Yeah, you never know. Maybe it would. I can't imagine it would hurt, right? So I'm going to go and hang out with the guys from Wildwood for just a few minutes tomorrow, and it should be fun. Let's see. So yeah, there's a bunch of talk about cuckoo inlays and
cuckoo inlays,
wackiness like that.
Yeah. The funny thing about inlays, at least to me, is sometimes good ideas are really, really, really hard to do. Like, I mean, it can't be too detailed. I mean, a block is a block. It's a square. A trapezoid is a trapezoid, right?
Yeah.
And I blame PRS for those damn birds, but there's too much. There can be too much detail, and it doesn't work in plastic. It doesn't work in all sorts of stuff. It has to be fairly simple. I always bring up the dancing bears. Those were wildly hard to do and way too big and way too detailed. And I'm surprised they turned out as good as they did.
I forgot that. Yeah. So for those of you who didn't know, we actually made some dancing bear inlays.
We did. Yeah. And they were white pearloid, but they had a bunch of black fill because they had a bunch of small lines, and that takes a lot of work. So, yeah.
The Paul Reed Smith birds are, I'm sure, tricky, especially in 1985. But I think even the little crescent moon dots, to get them all lined up exactly right, probably took a steady hand at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike says he's calling tomorrow. Thank you, Mike. As guitar builders, is 2025 going well for TTG? Absolutely, Butch. We've got some new models. We've got some new workshops that we've never done before that I'm really looking forward to. Chris and I are kind of retooled our brain space a little bit. And remember we talked about, like, we don't want to make a bunch of guitars and sell a bunch of cheap guitars. I think that's one of the things that we decided we wanted to do differently in 2025. So the new models, for example, I've been designing and working on some new models. We'll show them to you guys when they're done. And I really like them. They're cool. And I had to get out of the idea of, why don't we just put some garbage pickups in here? Because who knows if anyone's going to like them. And I really need to have a more attitude like, people are going to think these are cool. Let's put some good stuff in there. Let's put like some, let's put mastery bridges in them. Let's put some other neat stuff in there. And I think that what that's going to mean is we're going to raise the bar a little bit, but there's a lot of just like having a positive attitude and just staying positive about this stuff. I'm never going to not be stressed, I'm sure, but I can have a more positive attitude about things. Chris might not believe me when I say I'm going to try to not be stressed all the time.
The key word is try.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm definitely never going to be stressed again. I'd be like, bullshit. But yeah. going to the Woodwire and Volts show,
Uh-huh.
a little bit transformative in a lot of ways. Met some really cool people, met some really positive people.
Yeah,
it's not all about what they make. It's also about their personal philosophies and ideas and outlooks and things like that. And seeing, just sort of, at least for me, sort of getting a little bit recharged on some stuff, and seeing different people's ideas and even if we don't make something, you and I think about stuff, other styles, other guitars, other things, and you see somebody else doing it and you're like, oh, it's maybe not the dumbest idea in the world. So yeah.
Mike Beckloff says, when's the next Fender Net class? Do you mean build a Fender Net, like our essential guitar building workshop, Mike?
I think he means 1.1. Yeah.
That was a great workshop. I want to do more of those.
Talking about it, but we haven't haven't sat down and scheduled it. For one thing, we have the thing that we were talking about last week, kind of looming, and without trying to swallow up a bunch of, we want to keep our schedule open to his schedule right now. So we haven't, as soon as we get that nailed down, then I think we can schedule some other stuff.
I really just need to just kind of put it out there, though.
The answer to when is the next class, when is the next Fender neck building class, the answer is yes.
Yeah, maybe we need to just sit down and just do that stuff.
We should. Well, I think we'll have some answers here coming up.
Quick. Steve says Casino Guitars did a builder spotlight video. That's for the guy we met.
Shyman.
Yep.
Guitars. He was right next to us. I spent a lot of time talking to that dude. He's cool.
Yeah. And Steve asks if that's something they are going to do more. I'll ask about a TTG video.
So the thing about that is he lives there.
Yeah.
He's right down the streat.
I sent Baxter an email yesterday with our new guitar, and I'm like, hey, check it out.
Yeah.
We'd still like to get your crew out for a workshop. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Because I saw that video last Thursday, actually, is when it came out. And it popped up, and I went, oh, I wonder what and then I was like, well, that's the guy right next to us. Then I remember, oh yeah, he's from like right down the street. So so they know him and have known him and that was cool, and it was a great video, and he's a really cool guy, and his guitars are cool. So and it would be a lot harder for us to do that with them. It'd be easier for us to do something like that with Wildwood.
Yeah, we did a video with those guys. They just haven't published it yet.
I think they did a lot of those videos, and I think they published one.
They might have just, and they might have fallen on people are like, we're not watching it.
I think there's a lot of noise. It's really noisy out there. I think all of the ones they did were probably that way. It's hard to edit that stuff into a usable thing. Yeah. It was you and Dylan, and
I mean, Dylan and I love to talk to each other and on the camera. So
talk louder at each other. Yeah.
Hi, Ken. How are you, sir? Good to hear from you. So we got about 8 more minutes left, and I told Randy I would talk about the idea of people who want to just make copies of other guitars. It never fails, Randy. Every time I think the market is saturated, there's another guy who pops up and is making Tellys or Strats, right? I think that coming up with your own design is a cool thing to do, but it's hard to do. When you guys see the new guitars that we're working on, I'm not trying to keep anything under wraps or anything, but they're going to come out of left field. I think for a lot of people, what in the heck is that? I think
so too. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how Randy feels about it. I don't really have too much of an issue with making copy guitars, copy shapes, copy, because I think in a lot of ways that's the builder's attempt to build something as good as the the originals, you know, and it's Les Pauls and Strats and Tellys.
And I say that
and all of that. Yes, we're surrounded by literally and Les Pauls and
a Telly.
Telecasters.
There it is. Yeah.
Telecasters.
Yeah.
I think that's the way they originally pronounced that word, by the way.
Now you got to know too, Randy and everybody else watching, these are all instruments that we are doing in preparation for a class or did for a class.
Yeah.
That Les Paul and that Telly, those were all part of a workshop that we did.
Yeah.
All these SGs
some of these, they just get started during those classes and then we finish them up or whatever. But I don't think, you know, I think there's a lot to be learned by building stuff like that. I think there's a lot to be learned by doing something similar to it, changing it a little bit, all of that kind of stuff. Familiar shapes is always a good thing. And in a lot of ways, it's not every Broadway production is a brand new show.
Yeah,
a lot of them are things that have been around forever, and you have to recreate it to the best of your ability. And so I don't really have too much of an issue with it. I do think as a guitar company, having your own stuff is also cool. You know, I think if all we did was this, that would get old fast. We've done that before. Even though we had our own stuff, we mostly did stuff like this. But I don't really have a problem with it. I also don't have a problem with playing in a cover band. So not a tribute band. I want to play more than one band's music.
We're a tribute guitar company.
Hart and Blondie.
Hardondi.
Yeah, that just means you have a really kick-ass
blonde
girl singer, but you don't want to deep dive into the Hart catalog, I think is what that means.
I don't know. Is that a thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like those 3 Blondie songs, and I like
Let's do some Missing Persons too.
That was it. Yeah, Missing Persons and Hart.
Oh, you know what the other song was? What Are Words For? That's the one I couldn't think of. So we kind of straddle the line between teaching people to build things that we think people are going to like, Strats and Tellys and SGs and Les Pauls and PRSs.
Well, a lot of that's just, for one thing, we don't want them to build Challengers.
No,
you know, so then you got to have a custom design just for them versus saying, hey, let's build a bunch of Telecasters, or let's build Strats, or let's build Les Pauls. That, you know, stuff that virtually every guitar company's made at one point or another, and that people are familiar with and comfortable with. So
So but I think you should absolutely, at the very least, try to make your own shape. And it does not come easy. There are drawings all over the walls here at the shop of me trying to come up with something that I think is going to look good. And I get it drawn on a piece of paper, and then I get it drawn on a blank, and I'm like, I do like it, I don't like it. I get it cut out, I don't like it as much, or I like it more. I think it needs to have more of this or more of that or more. And it takes a while.
It does. And you know,
Sully had a good video about new models.
Yeah.
He uses pink foam.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea if you're doing it with the CNC. And but yeah, it's one thing to look at it on paper. It's another thing to look at it cut out. It's another thing to have a cardboard cut out. It's another thing to have a completed guitar. And we've done it several times. It's another thing for people to accept that shape. You can think it's the coolest thing in the world, but other people may not think that. It's taken a really, really, really long time for the Challenger to take off. And we've had industry friends tell us the same. You know, Doug Cower told us that a bunch of years ago. He's like, you know, it takes people a while to kind of come around to a new shape and a new idea, even if it's very, very, very reminiscent of something else.
Sure.
They're still like, I don't know.
We've got a few more minutes here, and I want to say hi to my friend Sarah from Relic Guitars, Ken Tipton, Doc is still here, Solaris Moon, Dan is here. Dan wants to know if there's going to be a reveal tomorrow. Yes, there will be a reveal tomorrow.
Unless Chris eats some bad fish. I won't eat fish tomorrow for lunch.
So anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We're going to call it a night. I want you to go over, and thank you, Tazzy Tim, for the audio super chat. go over and harass Dylan and say hello to his lovely wife, Leslie. We'll see you guys tomorrow for a reveal, and have a great night, everybody.